homelessness, rising crime rates, and the continuing rising cost of living, the entrepreneur turned politician is aiming to be the voice of the people in the city of Angeles. And the politician joins us just right now, the candidate of the mayor of Los Angeles. That is RAMIT VARMA. Thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to the show. Now we're going to jump right into it. This is a very crowded race. There were 5 candidates with more than 5% of the vote in the most recent Loyola Marymount poll there. And those candidates include people with a ton of experience in local and federal politics and a billionaire. Now, how do you see yourselves breaking into that top level of a candidate?
Well, I'll tell you what, Ariel, I think in this race in particular, LA is ready for a change, to be honest with you. And, when you look at people who talk about things and there are people who do things, and when we look at Congress, arguably a very ineffective institution, we've got a billionaire who frankly inherited a couple $100 million and a bunch of city councilmen who created the problem. So I think, our polling and all the people we talk to say, look, we're looking for a new kind of leader. And I think it's time for a generational change and somebody who's going to take this city, look at it across the board, take care of everybody in the city, and build it for the future. In many ways, our city's built on a blueprint that's 50, 75 years old. People talk about traffic in LA. There is a lot of traffic in LA because we were built for cars and we haven't embraced new technologies. And what I think we really need in the city is creativity and really some business-minded people getting involved in the city government process.
Speaking of becoming a new type of candidate, you have made tackling homelessness one of your main priorities. There are about 66,000 homeless people in the area, and you want to take that down by 50%. A very ambitious thought process there. How do you expect to get such drastic results within about 6 months or 6 to 9 months?
Yeah, homelessness, as everyone will tell you, is a very complicated problem. And the way we talk about it, homelessness isn't one problem. It's actually many problems. You've got homeless people who are foster youth who have aged out of the foster care system. You've got homeless veterans. You've got people who have severe mental health and addiction issues. You have people who have come from all over the world to be homeless in LA because we have wonderful weather and we have a permissive government process. And so the way we look at it is the way we look at everything. As I said, we're doers, we're problem solvers. And so we look at it and say, okay, what is the first and biggest thing we can tackle? And for that is newly homeless people. We want to focus on transitional housing for newly homeless people instead of focusing on housing for folks who have been chronically homeless. And the reason for that is because many of the people on the streets have mental health and addiction issues, but they are caused by being on the street. The trauma of being on the street, even for 30 days, can lead to a drastic increase in the number of people who have mental health or addiction issues. And if you can start by getting those people the help they need immediately, get them jobs, get them placement, get them skills development, you'll actually very rapidly reduce the number of people who are on the streets. It's a crazy thing, and this is across the country. You talk to any business owner, and they'll tell you the number one biggest issue they have is finding people to do the work, right? You've got restaurant owners, you've got small business owners, they can't get people to come in and work. And yet we have this population, as you said, 66,000 people, many of whom are able-bodied, able to work, willing to work, and we haven't been able to connect those. And that's a failing city government. And by the way, it's not surprising why we're in this situation. LA has an $11.2 billion annual budget. We allocate $1 billion a year towards homelessness. And the problem has only gotten worse. And the reason is because when you have $1 billion river of money flowing somewhere to solve a problem, the people who are taking that money have no real incentive to solve the problem. Their river of money is going to stop. When I come in and I take office, we're going to look at everything very carefully. We're going to look at it as business people with financial controls. We're going to see where that money's going. We're going to allocate to the places where it needs to continue to go, building on success, and we're going to stop the money that's being wasted. That will have very immediate impact.
And we only have about 30 seconds left with the RAMIT. So just one more quick question. You said you wanted to model your strategy on Colorado, which hasn't been really anywhere close to LA. But how do you want to kind of bring those methodologies into LA when tackling homelessness?
Yeah, it's an overarching sort of issue around designing a solution to all of the problems, right? I think that the problem right now is that there's such a focus on permanent supportive housing. What Colorado's done a very effective job of is focus on transitional housing with these small home communities, tiny home communities. I think at the end of the day, you can talk to any of the candidates, everyone's going to have a plan. The biggest difference between me and the others is that I have a reputation and I have a history and experience of actually solving problems and doing. I won't get in office and talk about all the reasons why these things don't work. As an entrepreneur, people always tell you why your ideas won't work. We are people who do the work and get the work done. That's how you solve these problems. Otherwise, we'll be here 4 years from now talking about the same thing. We'll have 75,000 people on the street.
Thank you for joining us today, RAMIT VARMA candidate for mayor of Los Angeles, California. Thanks once again for being on Cheddar Politics today. Okay, and there's more Cheddar Politics coming up after this quick break. Stay with us.